Dumpling is playing. Welcome to the show. I'm doing well because I'm having a wonderful day on this gorgeous, and I do mean gorgeous, 7th August 2025. Today, we're talking about aging, which is something I'm going through, you're going to go through, your neighbor's going through, your mom's going through, your dad's going through, your grandparents are possibly done aging uh, because they look old AF. But yeah, we're talking about aging. We talked about aging yesterday and how with the video of sleep, I'm older, I get more grumpy, I get more sleepy. I don't have the metabolism of a person that is 20 years old. One of my knees is really hurting, and it's a bad thing, right? So I wanted to come on here and do a video about aging. Now, this is kind of like a follow up to a video we did a year ago. Now, this is not exactly a follow up, but kinda. This is not exactly a linked, but you can also watch this video because it'll help you understand. Um, the video that is just a follow up to is, did we start too late? So, you guys know that my passion, my dream is to make content, being a content creator, and I started later in life. We started at 28. Now, 28 for a lot of people is very young to start making content. However, when we realize that people have been making content at 16 years old, 17 years old, 15 years old, it's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing because then you're not old, but when you look at the demographic of content creator, you're old when you think about that, right? But then you got the reality, which is absolutely phenomenal. See, when I made this video, it was a year ago. A lot of things changed. So I'm looking at people like, I'm gonna give you the best example possible, which is Jack Doherty. I'm gonna give you the best example possible, which is Kai Cenat. I'm gonna give you the guys the best example, which is Speed. Speed is my number one example of this, right? So somebody like Jack Doherty that has been doing it since a very, very, very young age, which is this is applauding. Look at him right now. It's very different. His content is very different. He isn't the liked person anymore. It's not America's sweetheart anymore, right? And he's pretty much put himself in a situation where he is seen as a douchebag by a lot of people. Kai is another great example. Started young. Kai, why he is so good, why I applaud him so much is because he, you're not sorry. I'm busy because we're doing a Twitch stream, TikTok, and YouTube. So after that, we're gonna be playing the new season of Fortnite. So yeah, safe to say I got a busy day, and it started about only 48 minutes ago. That's not bad. Hello, what is that? Oh, hello, what is that? That's myself playing Elden Ring, baby. Um, Casanat is a good example because even when he was younger, he was watching he was watching content creator. See, Kai did a streamer university, right? Did a streamer university, and that streamer university was a school for streamer. They would tell you how to put your ads, when to play, what type of content to upload, what was the trend, how to recognize the trend, the tag to use. It was very interesting content. It was all by the AMP. So Agent, Phantom, Chris, a lot of people that I don't know, sadly. The guy had his school himself. He went to school himself by watching other content creator. Right now, what we're seeing on YouTube Kids, it's literal kids that are 8, 9 years old, and they're learning how YouTube works. And some of them have 1 million followers. And it's a scary thing for a kid, right? So following the example of Jack Doherty, yes, they're starting very young, but doesn't mean that they have longevity. That's the thing that I want to talk about. When I'm going to come back to myself, it's going to be a question of longevity. Now, we're going all the way to Speed. Speed, what begin, in my opinion, very immaturely, which is okay because he was young. He had it rough. His mom wasn't very supportive. His father, was a genuine good guy. But Speed is the best example. He started quite immature, and he had his run-in, and he had his problem. But then you saw him bloom into a beautiful person, into a person that was very generous, very kind. And Speed nowadays is an example, a good example, for a lot of people. And it's amazing to see how Speed is growing. And Speed, although it wasn't the best example when he started, is becoming more and more of a example or a role model. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy about that. I find it extremely, extremely nice that there's a guy called Darren that's out there, and one of the most popular streamer, by the way, and he is giving out good example. This is a W, as they say, for the youth. A lot of people are going to be seeing Speed. They're going to be inspired by Speed, which is a beautiful thing. Now, those three people started at a younger age than me. But the question is longevity. So longevity is when you talk to me. Let's go back to me because again, the video isn't about those three guys, although there's a lot of respect for those three guys. Longevity is important. I started at 28 years old, which is bringing me a level of maturity, which means that I'm not gonna make some mistakes. For example, I know that I shouldn't say this. I know I shouldn't do that. I know that if I do this, I'm gonna hurt people. You know, there's a lot of things that I've learned, lesson of life I learned, and a lot of you guys are seeing me as a bigger brother, and that's really the thing I'm going for. A role model, a positive role model. I'm not gonna change the world, but I'm gonna help. If I can help a couple people, we uploaded 320 clips in 3 days. That's pretty good. I'm gonna do it right. That's the goal here. That is the goal. And it's just nice because this is. Why did I regret starting so late? I think it would have been amazing content to see me at 20 years old and see my evolution and how much we changed in between 20 and 28. Why 20? Because I went to the apartment at 20. So this is really when I started being myself. This is really when I shaped myself to be the person I am today. Before that, I was a father's son. I was a mother's son, mama's boy. And after that, I became my own person. That was quite beautiful. I would like to see the evolution. I would like to see, okay, well, I remember this. Or physical change, right? Seeing somebody grows. So at 28 years old, I'm not able to see this because the person that there's sort of like a learning curve. You absorb information and then there's a level where you're like, you know what? I got enough information to survive out there in the world. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna survive. And you just do it. And it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal in a way of you're able to survive. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much sums it up. To me, it's quite nice. To me, is very, very cool. Very, very cool. But yeah, there's a missing part of it, right? This is my dream. And also, 28 years old. There's also the sad part. So when I say, is it old? At 28 years old, you're less financially, you take more financial risk than anything. For example, when you're young, right? You don't mind that you lost a couple of money. Some people go to party, you invest it, you made some money. At 20 years old, you expect to invest, you must expect to think about getting a house, forming a family. There's a lot of cost. You're becoming a man, you're an adult version. To me, I never really understood the reason why. To me, it was so stupid. You had kids. You know what? You have preteens. Well, you know what? You have teens. And then you have young adult. And then you have adults. I thought it was stupid. But the young adult is a thing. And I believe this now. So my dream is to make content, right? Now, why am I not sad that we're leaving at 28? Why am I sad that we're leaving at 28? That we started at 28. My body doesn't follow. My body doesn't follow, but it's also a good thing that we're going to talk about later. Longevity. I want to do this for my whole life. So I'm going to be doing this in 20 years. I've been doing this for 4 years without getting a penny except from Twitch. No other site has paid me a penny. Twitch has paid me over the last 4 years, I want to say 500, more than 500 possibly. My first year I made $210. That's actually pretty good. So it paid me a lot, right? Enough to survive? No. Because it's not enough to survive, I can't call it a job, right? That's pretty much sums it up. Okay? Now, this is kind of cool. Because with longevity, I don't mind doing 20 years. And it's not gonna be about how late I started. It's how long I do it. You look at people like Red, Link, JMM. You look at people like Smosh. You look at people like Fusi. They've been doing it for a long time. Look at Roman Atwood. You look at Casey Neistat. They're all gross. They all got so old. See? And yes, my body is gonna fail before a 16 years old. A 16 years old, body-wise, possibly have 14 to 15 years of prime shape, prime body, prime muscle mass, prime energy, right? We don't have that anymore. However, I know that right now, it's kind of motivating. We're kind of running after the clock. If I was 16, I wouldn't be running after the clock. I am running after the clock right now. Which means I'm more motivated because I know that if I wait too long, I know that if I start getting serious at 40 years old, first of all, I'm going to be seen as the guy that has a midlife crisis. Second of all, I'm not going to have the energy that I'm doing. So, it is later, but it's not too late. Now, is it ever too late to follow your dream? Never too late. It's never too late. However, realistically speaking, the sooner the better. Right? The sooner the better. For example, kids. My parents had me at 25, so I always told myself I'm going to have kids at 35. But my parents were never fat or obese. I'm obese, I'm fat. I might not live as long as they do. And maybe I won't be able to give them grandkids. And if I'm able to, I'm not going to be able to see my grandkids myself. I don't know, you know? I should have done it earlier. And if I did it earlier, it would have changed everything, you know? It's all late processes of life. So starting so late is a blessing and a curse. It gave me motivation, it gave me something. And at the same time, what is really interesting with my channel is I watch a lot of analytics of my channel. And the age group that watch me the most is 25 to 34. Which means that they're my age. Which means that they're connecting to something that I'm saying. You know? It's amazing. It's amazing. I think I've changed so much in between the time I started and right now. You know? I've learned so many lessons. I grew so much. It's kind of amazing that we've been through this much. Kind of amazing that I was able to do XYZ. You know? It's only starting. And even then, we're insane. I'm insane. I can safely say I'm insane. Even though I've reached 22 years old, and other people call me Unc, which is kind of like old man, but a bit more respectful, I guess. A bit more like Snoop Dogg, you know, Uncle Snoop. I'm not sure if saying that is cringe, but I don't care. And I'm giving them advice, and it's cool. I want to be that guy because I was lucky. I grew up with a lot of role models. I grew up with a lot of people helping me out, and if I can give it that back, I will give it back. I don't know yet. I'm stoked. Stoked for the next 10 years. I'm stoked for the next 10 years, and I'm gonna see how it happens. I can't predict the future, but I can predict one thing. I cannot predict listen to this. I'm pretty proud of myself. I can't predict the future, but I can predict that I'm gonna be doing this in 10 years. How about that? You know? One of my friends was like, hey, what happened if YouTube or TikTok close? Which is a reality. Last year, we almost had TikTok close. Which this could have been a fact that's starting too late. This could have been a fact. For example, and again, I'm not complaining, I'm very happy. On YouTube, I have 700 followers, which is not true. It's not true. I have 697. I never reached 300. I never reached yet, right? On TikTok, I have 8,902 followers on TikTok, which is pretty good, right? Safe to say, if I started putting as much time as I do right now with TikTok, I would have been having a bigger channel. But I waited until last year. And last year, they closed. They were thinking they were going to close. And then Trump came in and said, no, I'm not going to close TikTok. I'm not going to close it. So, if it closed, I could have missed an opportunity. Right? Most of the followers that I got are from TikTok. Now, the reason why I care more about TikTok, I'm going to be honest, it's money. TikTok has no way of paying its content creator. YouTube does. And what's going to be the next video that we're supposed to do? The next video is about that. The next video is about how TikTok is helping their content creator. So I'm quite excited. I'm going to go in right away. I love you guys. Message behind it. You're never too old. You're never too old and you're never too young to start making content. I got my friend, Jeunesse, my best friend. I love that guy. Love that guy to tears. Is that a word, to tears? He's been wanting to make content for 2 months. He hasn't done a single video. Like, oh, I want my video to be nice. Bro, my first video didn't have audio. Oh, Fortnite installed. Yes, sir. There's a new update today. I'll be playing that. It's a shame. It's a real shame because I tell him, dude, you're gonna love making content. You're gonna absolutely love making content. And the more you wait, the worse it's becoming. You know? I've seen that apartment is a pigsty. I have to clean it. I have to clean this mofo. I'm gonna get a coffee. You wanna get a creaming and sweet? Nice, me too. Yako, can get this one piece. This shop is nice, dude. And I'm telling him, bro, and it's also a weird thing. Because I went crazy with making content. Last year I completely lost my mind. I was working 15 out of 16 hours. Losing my mind. Then we relaxed, we did more. And this year I'm able to do it. If I was young, I don't think I would have been able to control myself. It's either a good thing or a bad thing. And there is this possibility that I'm making content right now because I'm getting older and I'm afraid that I'm going to get too old and I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm telling Jeunesse, do a video. Worst come to worst, fucking post it and put it in private. A lot of my videos are private. Let me tell you a secret. I'll film my father when he's talking. I'll film my mom when she's talking. I'll film the government thing. They're all things that's important to me. But I cannot put on the internet because they're more private. And then I always put it on private. And then when I'm going to be retiring from YouTube at 65 or 70, I'm going to be uploading all of them in public. Going to be never before seen content. You know? Even if I finished making content at 65. Why 65? Because most people are retired by 65. That's why I'm telling 65, but I might... Oh, it's so complex. Right now, I love making content. Am I going to love it in 35 years? There's a possibility that it becomes a job, right? If it becomes a job, it's different. But at 65, I might just do it for fun. I'll get residual, which is going to be enough to make a living. That's pretty much it. If I finish at 65, guys, I would have worked at making content for 37 years. 37 years. The phone is too hot. Which means that the weather is up. Which means that I have to start doing some lost in these memories. Anyway, I love you guys. Take it easy. I'll see you guys soon. I know what you're saying. Ink, you said that a couple minutes ago and you didn't stop. Well, guess what, mofos? You're right. So,